William was sitting in his wheelchair, his eyes fixed on the stunning view of Seattle's bay, where the waves danced under the sunlight. The mansion on Queen Anne Hill, with its glass walls and imposing architecture, seemed a reflection of the life he once led, full of movement, innovation, and possibilities. But now, all he saw was a distant memory. The silence in the room was palpable, interrupted only by the soft rustling of the leaves and the echo of his own bitter thoughts. Mary, his mother, was beside him, trying to break through the ice barrier that seemed to have formed between them. She struggled to get William to open up, but her attempts were often met with disdain. William, don't you want to talk about how your day was? She asked, her voice laden with hope. Talk? Why? William replied, the coldness in his words cutting through the air. He didn't turn to look at her, keeping his gaze fixed on the horizon. You know nothing matters. I'm stuck here, and that's not going to change. So what do you want me to say? The bitterness in his voice was like poison, and Mary felt her heart ache. I just want you to know that I'm here for you, that you're not alone. Mary tried again, her voice trembling slightly. We can find something to do together. There are so many things we can explore. How about, how about watching a movie or going for a walk? A walk? William laughed bitterly, a short, harsh sound. Do you really think I want to go out? I'm not who I used to be. I have no interest in any of that. He turned slightly, but his gaze remained distant, as if he were looking at a world that no longer existed. Mary sighed, frustration and sadness mixing in her chest. William, please. I just want to see you happy again. I remember when you loved exploring the city, when you had so many dreams, and now all those dreams are gone. He interrupted, his voice heavy with a pain he refused to show. You don't understand. It's easy for you to talk. You're not living this every day. At that moment, the front door opened, and Emma, the new caregiver, entered with a nervous smile on her face. It was her first day, and she was determined to make a difference. Upon seeing William, her smile quickly faded. Hi, William. I'm Emma, she said, trying to capture his attention. He didn't respond, merely turned his face back to the window, completely ignoring her. The silence that followed was awkward, and Emma felt the tension in the air. I brought some games and books. We could try something together, she asked, the anxiety evident in her voice. Books? Games? William murmured, still not looking at her. What difference does it make? It won't change anything. His voice was harsh, and the disdain in his words quickened Emma's heartbeat. Mary, noticing the situation, tried to intervene. William, maybe you should give Emma a chance. She's here to help. We can try something new. Right? New? What for? To torture me more. William grumbled, his frustration spilling over. I don't need help. I don't want help. What I want is for everyone to stop pretending that this is normal. Emma, sensing the bitterness in his voice, took a deep breath. I understand that you're going through a tough time, William, but I'm here to support you, not to push anything down your throat. William finally turned his head, his eyes meeting Emma's. For a brief moment, a flicker of curiosity crossed his face, but it was quickly replaced by defensiveness. Support? You don't know anything about me. What do you know about pain? Mary looked at Emma, realizing that the battle to reach William would be harder than she had imagined. Silence settled again, but this time there was a slight touch of hope. Emma was not willing to give up so easily. Maybe, just maybe, I can learn a little, and who knows, you might teach me something, she said, with a shy but genuine smile. William stared at her, and for a brief moment, the world around him seemed to stop. But soon he averted his gaze, still trapped in his shadows. The struggle was just beginning, and Mary knew that for William, every word, every gesture, would be a battle against a past he preferred to forget. Emma sat down in a chair next to William, her gaze fixed on the young man who was completely ignoring her. The room was spacious, with windows letting the sunlight in, but the atmosphere felt heavy like a storm about to break. William was in his usual state of despair, watching the world through the window, as if what lay outside was more interesting than any conversation she could offer. William, Emma began, trying to break the ice. Today I brought some books that I thought you might like. He didn't turn, his tone cutting. Books? Why? To make me feel even more trapped in here. Emma's heart tightened with frustration. She knew that his resistance was a tough barrier to break. I thought maybe a book about resilience could inspire you. Resilience? I'm not interested in stories of overcoming challenges. Every time I read one of those, I just feel more distant from the reality I live in. William shot back, the bitterness in his voice clear and painful. Emma took a deep breath and paused, searching for a way to connect with him. I understand you're going through a tough time, but maybe, by reading about people who faced challenges, you could find some hope. He laughed sarcastically. Hope? That's just a pretty word to fill the void. You don't understand anything about what I'm going through. She looked at him, trying to see beyond the wall of resistance. You're right. I can't fully understand what you're feeling, but I'm here to help you. You don't have to go through this alone. William finally turned around, his eyes meeting hers, filled with anger and pain. Help? What do you know about help? You don't know what it's like to be trapped in a chair with no control over your life. Emma felt the blow, but she didn't back down. I may not know what it's like, but I'm willing to listen. And I know this isn't all that you are. There are parts of you that can still shine. He stared at her, surprised by the determination in her gaze, but the anger still consumed him. Shine. That's a dream. I want you to leave me alone. I can't do that, William, she replied, her voice soft yet firm. I'm not going to give up on you. After a moment of silence, William looked away, irritated. Emma decided she needed a new approach. How about we talk about what you like? What did you do before the accident? That doesn't matter anymore, he answered curtly. But it does matter. You were an innovator, William. There was something you loved to do, something that made you happy. It can't be that there's nothing that still inspires you. He hesitated, as if struggling against a wave of memories he didn't want to face. I used to work with technology, but that's the past, a past that won't come back. Why don't you tell me a bit about it? I'd love to hear your stories. Who knows? It might help you feel better? Emma insisted, her tone encouraging. Stories? I don't know if I have any worth telling. What I did doesn't matter anymore, William said, but his voice sounded less defensive. Please, William, I just want to understand you. It could be a good starting point for both of us, Emma said, her sincerity reflected in her eyes. He took a deep breath, reluctant. Once, I developed software that helped small businesses connect with customers. It was something that excited me. Emma smiled, realizing she had found a crack in his armor. That's amazing. I would love to know more about that. What inspired you to create it? William looked into the distance for a moment, as if reliving those days. I always loved the idea of connecting people. Technology has that power, but it all feels so distant now. What if we could find a way to bring that back? Emma suggested, her heart pounding with new hope. What if I help you develop a new project? Something that could make a difference in people's lives? He looked at her, the resistance still present, but now mixed with a subtle curiosity. You really want to do that? Yes, I do. You're not alone in this, Emma replied, offering an encouraging smile. The silence stretched between them, but now there was a new energy in the room. a possibility beginning to form. William seemed to ponder her words, which could be a sign that his defenses were starting to dissipate. The afternoon sun filtered through the windows of William's spacious office, illuminating the shelves filled with dusty books. Emma, who was always looking for ways to connect with the young man, was determined to find a crack in the armor of resistance he had built around himself. As she examined the titles, her fingers stopped on a book that caught her attention, Innovations That Change the World. Without hesitation, she took it off the shelf, her heart racing with anticipation. William, have you read this? Emma asked, turning to him with a hopeful smile. William glanced quickly at the book, but soon looked away, focusing on the view of the city stretching before him. I'm not interested in books about the past. That doesn't change what happened, he replied, the bitterness evident in every word. Emma felt the pressure of the moment, but she was unwilling to give up. She moved closer, placing the book on the coffee table that separated them. I understand that you don't want to revisit the past, but there might be something good there. Sometimes, our experiences teach us valuable lessons that can help us move forward. William scoffed, remaining still. You don't understand. The past is just pain. There are no lessons, only failures. His response hit her like a punch in the stomach, but Emma recalled the determination that had brought her there. What if you could see it differently? She leaned in a bit closer, trying to capture his attention. What if what you lived could inspire others? You were an innovator, William. Look at everything you accomplished before the accident. He hesitated, a flicker of curiosity appearing in his eyes. Innovator? That was a long time ago. I'm just an invalid now. No, you're much more than that. You have a story, Emma insisted, keeping her voice soft but firm. And I would love to hear about your childhood in Seattle. What did you love to do when you were younger? William's expression shifted slightly, a shadow of recollection crossing his face. He hesitated, but Emma's insistence and the authenticity in her gaze seemed to open a small crack in his heart. I used to program, create things. There was a time when that made me happy. His voice was low, almost as if he were speaking to himself. That's incredible, Emma exclaimed, excited. What did you create? He took a deep breath, as if reliving a distant moment. A game, an app that helped kids learn math in a fun way. I was passionate about it. A smile, involuntarily, appeared on his face, quickly replaced by a shadow of sadness. Why did you stop? Emma asked, intrigued. Because all of that is gone. The accident stole my ability to create. He looked out the window again, lost in his memories. Emma noticed that there was an open path. What if you could use that passion again? She asked, determined. You have a chance to do something new, something that could help other people. William slowly turned to her, a new spark of interest in his eyes. Do you really think I can still do that? I know you can. Emma smiled, encouraged. Let's explore this together. Let's look at those books. Maybe there's something that can reignite your passion. A comfortable silence settled between them as William pondered her words. He leaned forward, picking up the book Emma had left on the table. All right, let's see what this brings us. Emma couldn't contain the smile that lit up her face. That's all I could ask for. Let's discover what else is in your story. The scene was changing. William was beginning to open the doors of his mind and heart, and Emma was ready to help him rediscover the world he believed he had lost forever. The afternoon sun illuminated the paths of Discovery Park, and the fresh air carried a light scent of the sea and wildflowers. William was settled in his wheelchair, his eyes fixed on the landscape unfolding before him, but a look of discontent still lingered on his face. Emma, beside him, took a deep breath, anxious to find the right words to break the ice that had formed between them. "What a beautiful view, isn't it?" Emma commented, looking around and trying to draw William's attention. "The sound of the waves is so relaxing." William shook his head, uninterested. "It doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything in my life. It's just a park." Emma felt her heart tighten at the harsh response, but she wasn't willing to give up. Sometimes, places like this can help us see things from a new perspective. You know, the fresh air, nature, it can be good for us. He looked at her, a mix of skepticism and curiosity in his eyes. "New perspective? How? I'm stuck in this body. What more could I see?" Emma hesitated for a moment, but then decided to be honest. "I understand that you feel trapped, William, but your mind is still free. We can explore that together." William gazed at the horizon, where the blue sky blended with white clouds. Something in his expression began to change, even though he didn't want to admit it. "And what do you suggest? That I sit here and have an epiphany? How about we talk?" Emma replied, trying to keep the tone light. "About anything. Your dreams, your memories. I want to hear you speak." Silence hung in the air for a moment, and Emma began to wonder if she had made a mistake. Then, to her surprise, William looked at her. "Dreams? They left a long time ago. I'm just a former technologist in a wheelchair now." "But you were a great technologist," Emma insisted, encouraging him. "You did incredible things. Can't we start there? What inspired you to enter that world?" William's eyes lit up for a brief moment, as if a light had been switched on in his mind. "It was a different time. I was an innovator. Ideas flowed. Working in technology made me feel like I could change the world." "And you did," Emma exclaimed, excited. "Your inventions impacted the lives of so many people. What would you want to create now, if you could?" He hesitated, looking down, as if trying to find answers in the stones of the path. Maybe I could do something that helps people like me. But I don't know if I'm still capable." "You are capable, William, and you still have so much to offer. How about we start with a simple project? An app, maybe," Emma said enthusiastically. William turned slowly to face her. "An app? What do you have in mind?" Emma smiled, feeling she had found a crack of opportunity. "An app that helps people with disabilities connect, find resources, share experiences. Have you thought about something like that?" "Actually, no," William replied, thoughtful. "But that could be interesting. We'd need a name and a concept." "Let's think together," Emma suggested, animated. "We could make a list of ideas. What do you think of accessible connection?" William furrowed his brow, pondering. "Maybe. Or digital support. It needs to convey hope and strength." "Yes. And what if we have a section for stories of overcoming challenges? We could encourage people to share their experiences." The conversation flowed, and the tension that had previously dominated the air began to dissipate. William seemed more relaxed, and Emma felt their creative energy intertwining. "You know, maybe I have some stories to tell," he said, a slight smile on his lips. "I would love to hear all of them," Emma replied, excited. "I think we have something special here, William." And in that moment, among the trees and the sound of the waves, two worlds began to connect, and William felt a spark of hope reignite in his heart. Mary sat in a circle with other caregivers at the local support group, feeling a mix of nervousness and hope. The walls of the room were adorned with photos of families, some smiling, others with expressions of concern. When the facilitator began the meeting, Mary realized that those women, who seemed so strong, also carried stories of pain and overcoming obstacles. With each account, she felt more at ease, recognizing that she wasn't alone in her struggle. "I always wonder if I'm doing enough for him," said a gray-haired woman, her trembling hands holding a cup of coffee. My son is drifting further away, and I feel like I can't help him. Mary nodded, her heart tightening. William has been very closed off lately. He refuses to talk about his feelings, and I don't know how to reach him. Have you tried encouraging him to get involved in something he used to love? Suggested another woman, with an encouraging look. Sometimes, reigniting an old passion can really help. Actually, he used to love technology. He was an innovator. But now, Mary hesitated, sadness creeping into her voice. It seems like he's lost all of that. I wish I could find a way to reignite that spark. The women around her shared understanding glances. The facilitator, sensing the intensity of the moment, proposed a break for everyone to reflect on what they could do to help their loved ones. Mary closed her eyes for a moment, absorbing the supportive words echoing in her mind. When the meeting ended, Mary felt renewed. She returned home with newfound determination. Upon entering the mansion, she found William in his office, staring at the computer screen with a distant expression. William, she began, hesitantly, I attended a support group today. They talked about rekindling old interests. Do you remember how much you loved programming? He looked at her with a raised eyebrow, the coldness in his gaze not softening. Programming. That's the past. Mom, there's no point in reminiscing about what I can't do anymore. Mary sighed, feeling the weight of frustration. But what if we could create something new? An app that helps other people with disabilities, like you. I saw how excited you got talking about it with Emma. The mention of Emma sparked a faint glimmer in William's eyes, but he quickly composed himself. Emma has her crazy ideas. I don't know if I'm ready for that. Please, William, give it a chance. You have so many incredible ideas, and you can still make a difference. What do you think about us working together? You can tell me how you used to develop your ideas, and I can help organize them. He fell silent, looking out the window at the city lights beginning to twinkle as dusk fell. Mary stepped closer, feeling the urge to reach him. I just want you to find your purpose again. You deserve that, and I want to be by your side. If you'll let me. William took a deep breath, and the tension in his shoulders seemed to ease a little. Maybe, maybe I can think about it. I won't promise anything, but I'm willing to consider. Mary smiled, feeling a ray of hope. That's all I ask. Let's start working on it tomorrow. We can sketch out what you'd like to include in the app. Okay? He replied, reluctantly. But there was a slight change in his voice, as if the idea of a collaborative future was beginning to take root. Just don't expect me to be easy to deal with. I don't expect that. Mary laughed, relieved. But I'll be here, always. As she walked away, she felt that, for the first time in a long time, there was a possibility for reconnection. And, more importantly, a chance to rediscover who William truly was. William sat in his wheelchair, watching leaves dance in the wind at the park. The sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, but he still felt trapped in a world of shadows. Emma, beside him, was quiet, respecting the silence that enveloped them. The atmosphere was heavy, marked by a mix of tension and expectation. Do you remember how fun it was to explore the parks when we were kids? Emma broke the silence, trying to spark a flame of memories in William. He turned his face away, avoiding her gaze. Those times are gone. Life isn't a fairy tale, Emma. She frowned, but didn't give up. I know, William, but it doesn't have to be all pain. Look around us. Nature is beautiful, and we can create new memories. William took a deep breath but didn't respond. What Emma didn't know was that, deep inside, he was fighting a battle. He was tired of battling his own demons, and yet, the idea of opening up to someone terrified him. After a few minutes, Emma decided to change her strategy. How about we talk about your project? Any new ideas on your mind? William let out a bitter laugh. Projects? I don't have projects anymore. Emma, my only project is surviving each day. I don't believe you think that way, Emma said, looking into his eyes. You're an innovator. William, you always have been. What happened to the boy who dreamed of changing the world? That boy died in the accident, he shot back, his voice rising. And you're trying to resurrect him. But it won't work. Silence fell over them again, and Emma felt a pang of desperation. She wanted to help, but didn't know how. Then, in a sudden decision, she turned to William and said, If you don't want to talk about what you've lost, how about we talk about what you can still gain? You still have the ability to create, to innovate. William looked at her, the indignation in his eyes slowly dissipating. Innovate? For what? To be just another person in a society that doesn't understand what it means to live with a disability. Emma took a deep breath, knowing she was touching a sensitive point. I can't change society, but you can change how you see yourself. You have a chance to help others who face difficulties, just like you. He hesitated, the idea beginning to sprout in his mind. And how do you suggest I do that? Maybe an app, she suggested, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. A place where people can share their stories, support each other. You have so much knowledge and experience. You can use that to help others feel less alone. William stared at her, his expression softening. An app? Do you really think that would make a difference? Yes, William. And you have an incredible story to tell. People need to hear this, Emma asserted, feeling more confident with each word. You could be the voice that many are searching for. There was a moment of silence, and William got lost in his thoughts. He was beginning to realize that his pain could somehow transform into something positive. Maybe, he murmured, almost to himself. At that instant, a sudden noise interrupted the conversation. A cyclist, distracted, veered onto the sidewalk where they were standing, and Emma instinctively stepped in front of William. Watch out, she shouted, but it was too late. The bike zoomed past, and in a desperate effort, Emma ended up falling and twisting her ankle. William, in shock, watched as she writhed on the ground, pain etched on her face. Emma, he shouted, adrenaline making his heart race. Are you okay? She tried to get up, but the expression of pain made her hesitate. I think I twisted my ankle, she said, her voice trembling. William didn't think twice. He approached her, worried. Let me help you. The instinct to care for her awakened something within him that he thought he had lost forever. As she leaned on him, their eyes met, and for a brief moment, the connection between them deepened. William felt an urge to protect Emma, something he hadn't felt in a long time. You shouldn't have done that, he said, his voice heavy with emotion. What if something had happened to you? I wasn't going to let you get hurt, Emma replied, a lightness in her voice, despite the pain. That's what we do for the ones who matter. Those words echoed in William's mind, and for the first time in a long while, he felt truly touched. He wasn't just caring for Emma, he was learning to care for himself, to open up to what truly mattered. William was nervous as he awaited his turn to take the stage at the Grand Auditorium in San Francisco. The sound of the crowd, eager and vibrant, echoed in his ears, mixing with the rapid beat of his heart. Beside him, Emma tried to project confidence, though she too looked visibly anxious. You've prepared for this, William. Remember everything you've accomplished, she said, placing a comforting hand on his arm. William took a deep breath and looked at the audience, a mix of tech professionals, investors, and people like him, seeking inspiration. It was a sea of curious and hopeful faces. He thought about all the hardships he had faced and how this moment symbolized a new phase in his life. Do you really think they'll care about my story? He asked, insecurity resonating in his voice. Of course they will. Your journey is powerful, and what you've created is incredible. They want to hear it, Emma replied, smiling encouragingly. William felt a slight smile appear on his lips, although anxiety still consumed him. Finally, the presenter announced his name, and warm applause followed. William moved forward, his wheelchair gliding smoothly onto the stage. He paused, took a deep breath, and looked out at the audience. Hello, my name is William, he began, his voice slightly trembling. I'm here to share, not just an app, but a story. The story of how adversity can turn into new opportunity. He paused, observing the audience's reactions, which were attentive. After an accident that changed my life, I felt lost and devoid of purpose. But with the help of incredible people, like my mom and Emma, I rediscovered my passion for technology and innovation. He continued, his confidence growing as he spoke. What I've learned is that we all have challenges, and it's how we deal with them that truly matters. William began to describe the concept of the app he had developed. We created a platform that not only makes life easier for people with disabilities, but also offers a space to share stories of overcoming challenges. I believe each of us has a story that can inspire others, he said, gesturing enthusiastically. And of course, it wouldn't have been possible without Emma, who brought brilliant ideas for the design and functionality. Emma, off to the side, watched with pride, her heart warmed by William's words. She knew how hard he had fought to get to this point. The audience was engaged, some even moved to tears. At the end of his presentation, William paused dramatically. If you have a story, or know someone who does, we want to hear it. Together, we can create a community of support and inspiration. The applause that followed was deafening. William was radiant. He had opened up to the world, and the audience responded with enthusiasm. As he left the stage, Emma was waiting for him with a warm hug. You were amazing. I knew you could do it, she exclaimed, her eyes shining with emotion. I couldn't have done it without you by my side, William replied, his tone sincere. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. With light hearts, they walked together toward the backstage area, where investors and other interested parties were waiting. William felt different, almost as if he were being reborn. He now had a clear goal and a renewed purpose. What had started as a solitary project had transformed into a collaborative mission, and he was ready to embrace every challenge that lay ahead. William and Emma were immersed in planning the launch of the app, a project that had become not just an innovative idea, but also a symbol of their personal journeys and triumphs. William's office was filled with sketches, notes, and prototypes of the app. The walls, once cold and bare, now displayed colorful post-its with motivational phrases and reminders of the stories of people who inspired the project. Hey, I was thinking we could include a section where people can share their stories of overcoming challenges, Emma suggested, flipping through one of the notebooks. That's a great idea, William replied, his eyes shining with enthusiasm. These stories can help others feel less alone. It's a community of support. Emma smiled, pleased with his response. Exactly. We can create a space where people feel comfortable talking about their struggles and triumphs. It could make a huge difference. As they talked, Mary walked into the office, carrying a tray with cookies and tea. I thought you might need a snack to fuel that creative brain, she said, smiling at the excitement on her son's face. Thanks, Aunt Mom, William said, grabbing a cookie. We're just discussing some ideas for the app. Can I help in any way? Mary asked, sitting down at the table. She felt a new strength within her, a desire to be more involved in William's life and the cause he was embracing. Well, actually, your experience as a caregiver could be really valuable, Emma said. We want the app to offer resources for caregivers, something that helps ease their burden. Mary nodded, intrigued. That makes sense. I know how tough it can be, and having a place where caregivers can find support would be wonderful. William watched his mother and Emma converse, admiring the connection that was forming between them. He realized how Emma had become an essential part of his life, not just as an assistant, but as a friend and ally. Let's hold a meeting with the people who attend the support group, Mary suggested. We could get feedback on what they'd like to see in the app. That would be really helpful. Great idea, Mom, William exclaimed, excited. This way, we can make sure we're meeting their needs. With plans underway, the trio dedicated themselves to organizing the meeting. Emma started putting together a presentation that highlighted the app's purpose and features. William, for his part, committed to sharing his story and the importance of creating a support community. The following days were filled with preparations. William felt more motivated than ever, and the idea of helping others filled him with a new sense of purpose. During one of the meetings, as they discussed the app's functionalities, William raised his hand. I have an idea, he said, looking at Emma and Mary. What if we include a section for videos? People could record their stories and share them in a more personal way. Mary smiled, impressed by her son's creativity. That would be amazing, William. Emotions come across so powerfully in a video. Emma jotted down the idea, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Let's do it. We need to create a space where people feel safe to express themselves. With each idea that emerged, William felt more secure and closer to Emma and Mary. The transformation happening in his life wasn't just about the app. It was about rediscovering himself, understanding what it meant to be part of something bigger, and recognizing the importance of being surrounded by people who truly cared. On launch day, the atmosphere was electric. The team was united, all excited about what they were about to present to the world. William looked at Emma and Mary, feeling a mixture of gratitude and joy. He knew that this journey wouldn't have been possible without their unwavering support. We're ready to make a difference, William said, a confident smile on his face. Yes, we are, Emma replied, holding his hand. Let's show the world what we can do together. William found himself nervous, yet excited in the vibrant environment of the technology conference in San Francisco. The room was filled with people, all eager to hear his story and learn about the app he had dreamed of creating for so long. The air was charged with anticipation, and the spotlight shone on him, making William's heart race. He looked around, recognizing the familiar faces of Emma and Mary in the audience, offering him encouraging smiles. When he finally stepped onto the stage, William felt a wave of emotions wash over him. He cleared his throat and began to speak, his voice resonating with a mix of nerves and determination. Hello, everyone. My name is William, and today I want to share not just my app with you,